So there's the minutes from April 23rd's meeting. Anybody have any changes or corrections?
No.
Okay. Need some motion to be accepted?
I move.
Favor? Aye. That's unanimous, okay. There'll be two members absent tonight. They're both called in sick. So you're going to have to put up with three of us. First order of business is Mr. Leonard Lindros, 593 Route 9D Garrison. How are you? Just tell us who you are and,
Leonard Lindros Jr.,
okay,
Leonard W. Lindros Jr.
Leonard W., okay. I went to your site Saturday. I met you on Saturday
Yes.
down by your house. You showed me where we were going to put the garage and all, and everything. I think you said you had a letter from a neighbor, that it was okay?
It should be in
Should
there.
be in there? Okay, and that was the neighbor who was next door, so that would pretty much be the only one who would
Yeah.
be affected by it, right? The only thing I don't see here, I don't see a name or address of neighbors. See, because we have to send out letters to,
Yeah, no, there's these, and then I get them on the computer.
Well, we have the Percocellos next door to us.
all right.
That's on the north. And
All right, maybe you could
I can
get it from him. Okay, the secretary will get it from you, the
Okay.
letters to the neighbors,
Thank
okay. I got, one of your answers to your questions, I just got it, was really, I found very interesting, was that your wife and you were gonna turn 80 this year,
yes,
and you found it difficult to shovel out the vehicles.
well, we're finding it more difficult, yes.
I don't blame you. So that's why you want the garage. All right, I think everything is here. The only thing we're gonna need is, anything?
Is this acceptable as well as handwritten?
Hand drawn?
Yeah,
Okay, you want a architect to do it?
don't we always?
Okay. Your drawing is done by hand, a hand drawing, okay. The problem we have with that is that you usually require a architect to draw the drawing, so we
Well, I
have
mean,
the
is-
exact measurements. Because your hand-drawn measurements may not be exact,
They're
to the
pretty,
thing,
they're
so.
pretty good. I did the drawings on the main house, and
Yeah.
I had them stamped,
That was a while ago, though.
but they were full size.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think we're gonna we'll ask for a architect
Yeah.
or somebody to give us the drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be stamped by an architect,
Okay,
okay? Or an engineer.
okay.
Either engineer or an architect to stamp the drawings.
Everybody
Or maybe the guy
knows now.
the guy who's gonna do the garage knows somebody or something like that.
Yeah, well, you're looking at the GA here.
You're gonna do the garage too?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Boy, I'll tell you, you're a strong man, I'll tell you. Shoveling your cars out at 80 and building your own garage, you're okay in my book. All right, so we're gonna need all that by next month, because all this is to approve your application, to see that
Okay.
everything is here. And we see we need a couple of things, okay?
But we'll be able to go in a month from now, I trust.
Yeah, it'll be, your meeting will be June, let's see, June 11th. Be Monday, June 11th to be here, and that'll be a public hearing.
Yes,
What to do is, the secretary shall send out notices to your surrounding neighbors,
okay.
notifying them of what you could plan to do. And then if anybody has any objections or concerns or want to look at the plans, they can go to town hall, look at the plans and everything else like that.
Can I cut into the ground?
No,
I cannot, okay.
you can call a building inspector on that, but as far as I'm concerned, no.
Okay, 'cause,
All right.
all I wanted to do was just, there's all ledge right there where I'm building this. And I wanted to make sure that it's what concrete I'm gonna need, and,
Well, yeah, if you want to, and you're looking to see if there's ledge, I don't see, I
because
don't
there's
see
not
an
much,
issue with
as
it.
you can see, there's not much digging.
Right,
It's-
you want to make sure you can build, but you can't build anything as of yet.
Oh, no, I didn't say build.
Right.
No, just
You just
cutting
want to
in the ground.
investigate the soil and stuff
That's
like
it.
that. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see any problem with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you next month.
Right on.
Thank you.
What date are we meeting?
So someone move on the public
Oh. Make a motion that the application be accepted as complete. Of course, with exceptions of the two things that would have to be done. All in
Make a
favor?
motion?
Make a motion?
I second.
No second, all right. There's only three guys here, so it's gotta be tough. Mo, Larry, and Curly. Okay,
When's the meeting? Next month? What date?
June 11th. Next meeting is June 11th, right? So that's the second Monday? Yes, June 11th, okay. Next order of business is a public hearing at Dan and Rebecca Ward, 69 Highview Terrace, Cold Spring. Applicant seeking approval to build a new one-story, 2,492-foot square detached garage, which requires a variance under Town Code 17510, which limits the size of the garage associated with a single-family residence to 1,000 square feet. They also seek a variance under Town Code 175-74, which limits the size of an accessory structure to half the size of the principal building. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Want to tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do here?
Sure. Well, we have, you can see the plot plan here, which is,
Excuse me, sir, you're gonna use the mic, you can't even pick
Oh.
it up or,
Okay.
it's a clip,
oh, thank you. Okay, as you can see on the plot plan here, our house is, we have a very small house. We've been there for 30 years. We have 30 years worth of stuff packed everywhere. We have trusses in the ceiling. We have it's a very narrow, cheap modular house from the 70s. And we don't even want to park our cars in there because it's so close to get in there. We have 3 cars. I have a car that I'd like to store in there as well. It's a vintage car. I don't have a shed. We have our stuff sitting outside. We have a boat that we trailer to different marinas and stuff that's sitting outside. I just have stuff all over my yard, and I just think that it would be nice to put everything inside. In addition to that, we have Rebecca, my wife's parents, which will probably be moving in with us soon. And we need some room for their stuff. We just need more space, and I think just the appearance of the property would be better if we just put everything in the garage. So it's kind of everything sitting in the in the driveway, and we decided we've been here for 30 years. We want to retire here. We love it here, and we just want some room for our hobbies in the future too. So.
Right.
My wife's a physical education teacher. She has lots of stuff. I'm a teacher as well. I have lots of stuff. We would just like to have more space.
You're talking about your in-laws moving in. Is that living space above the garage? Is that what
No.
you're making?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Is there
No.
going to be water or anything going up there?
No.
Just electricity?
Probably just electricity. I mean, I'm not even going to put a second floor if I can afford to in the future. I will. I'm just kind of looking for the long term.
That's what I want to know about the future, if you're going to build an apartment up there.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, we don't want.
What do you mean by a second floor? in
anybody
the future?
renting?
Give me 20 times.
Just like for a loft area.
Right.
And I mean, I may not. I really, at this point, I don't even think I'm going to put the dormers in there.
Right.
But
Okay.
it's just, we just basically want some storage and enough area to store vehicles in the boat and that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, I can tell you now, if we approve it, we're probably going to put a restriction that there's no living space there.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
No problem. I have no plans of putting an apartment up there. We don't want any tenants. We
Well,
want a
it's
nice,
big
space,
space, you know,
lifestyle.
It's a big space, that's what we're trying
Yeah.
to, you know.
No, understandable.
Right.
Good question.
Plus,
Yeah.
you said your in-laws are coming. I figured you might put them out there.
Put them in the garage, huh? And lock the door.
Don't give me any ideas. No.
All right. Is there, is there anybody here who wants to speak on this? No? Okay, let me note that there's no opposition or no. Let me go over, we've got to go to 5 factors with you here. These are questions we ask so we can get on a determination. What are the possible detriment would the variance have on nearby neighbors? Your answer is the neighbor to the left at 59 Highview Terrace is 75 feet away and will see the garage the most. The other neighbors are lower or higher and have trees as a buffer. So there won't be, won't disrupt anybody's view. I guess there's no, like you say, the neighbors are all notified, and there's nobody here really against it. So that would, so I guess,
I've also got another letter from the neighbor across the street, Ken Barton.
Okay.
So if I want to, can I submit that?
you can give that to the,
Okay.
give that to the secretary.
That's in favor.
Okay. Second question, if you didn't get the variance, how else could you build or what you want to accomplish? The proposed location for the garage is the least obtrusive area on our property. We would not be able to accomplish our goals with a smaller structure.
Why wouldn't a smaller structure help out? You
Well-
have that much stuff you have to put in there?
We've got three, I'm looking for the future too, and our hobbies and that sort of thing. We just really don't have space in the house for anything. So once we put everything in there, including my in-laws stuff, we have 3 cars, a boat. I have a car, a vintage car that I like to store in there, and
That's what I said last time, you said had some vintage cars that you wanted to put in there or something like that.
yeah. So,
Okay.
just need some people have hobbies where they collect little trinkets. I guess for my hobby, I just need more space.
You're not going to put cars in there, you're not going to load it with junk, right?
With,
You got to put cars in there, you're not going to load it with junk, are you?
yes.
Cars, right? Cars?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I see your
Yes.
wife back, just checking, don't put stuff in there that, there's supposed to be vintage cars in there. Other things, okay, no problem. What is the code requirement you seek to vary? Sections 175-10D and 175-74B. That means we have an ordinance where you can't have a garage any bigger than 1,000 square feet, and you're going to, well, you're more than double in the size, you're looking for 24. But you're not looking for any other variances, so what I mean by that is you don't need a side yard, you don't need a rear yard.
Meeting all the setbacks.
Right,
Yeah.
you're all within the setbacks on that. Okay. What impact or effect will a variance have on the current physical and environmental conditions of the area? See attached statement. Well, you tell me. What impact will or effect will a variance have on the current physical environmental area? What do you think?
The physical environment of the area, well,
I mean,
I've got,
it's going to have a negative impact, is what I'm trying to say.
I've got the property compared to most of the properties on our road. As you come up Highview Terrace, most of the properties, is it still on? Most of the properties are very narrow and long, and they drop off in the back. And my property is at the top of the road as it levels off at the top, and they're very flat, and the lots are a lot more, there's a lot more room, buildable space. So this is an area here that, on the side here, I've got trees. My neighbors have both cut down their trees to the property line on both sides. I've intentionally left trees to maintain a buffer for my neighbors. So I'm leaving trees all along here. There's trees going to be in front here. There's trees in front of my property. And I'm going to leave as many as I can behind here and also over here. And so I'm trying to maintain a buffer for my neighbors, not clear all my trees. I could have cleared all my trees just like they did, and we'd be open. So I'm trying to keep it, from the road. You're really not going to see it, in the spring and summer at all.
Okay.
And my neighbors in the back here, this does, as I said, this slopes down, and they're set down. When you stand in my backyard, you see the tops of the houses back there, and they also have woods behind them. So we have a nice buffered area, the neighbors around there. And I've tried to maintain that, even though my neighbors haven't, but I've tried to do that. So I'm trying to be neighborly. I'm trying to be aware of, keeping a little space between us, and I think they appreciate that.
Okay.
Are you gonna have a paved driveway and area around the garage?
Not around the garage, no. The only part that I'm going to add is
Show me where
this.
the pavement is.
What's that?
You have pavement for a driveway,
Yes, I do.
and there's not gonna be any pavement around the garage.
No, the only pavement I'm adding is just this little part in the front here. This is existing,
Yeah?
and the only part I'm adding is this right here. This is just going to be natural trees. I'm going to leave trees very close on this side, so this whole front is going to be trees. In the back here, there's going to be trees, and over here as well.
Okay, the reason for my
So,
question is
yes.
between the pavement and the size of that garage, there's gonna be a lot of runoff. Where is the runoff going? Is it heading towards the neighbor's property? Where's your runoff from the water going?
Well, that's something that I'm really not an expert on that. My architect could address that.
Then you better bring him.
Or do we need to put in a dry well? Whatever the building department tells me to do, I'll do.
Well, what's in the back of your property? You said it drops off?
Yes. There's houses here, their lots go down to Perks, and their whole back here is all woods. They really don't use it for anything.
Okay. Does the water drain off there? I mean, your regular rainwater?
The regular rainwater, it kind of, my yard slopes this way, so it kind of goes this way.
Okay.
Towards the neighbor.
So,
It flows towards the neighbors?
It really doesn't, I don't see it, it just seeps into the ground. I really don't see anything
Well, it
running
ain't gonna
off.
seep in with pavement.
yeah, but how much pavement are you putting on? You already have a paved driveway, correct?
Yes, this is all existing. We're adding this amount here, which is 13 square feet of pavement.
Yeah, but it's gonna be runoff coming off a 2,000 square foot garage too. It's all gotta go somewhere.
Well,
That's what I'm trying
it's
to
gonna
find out.
have-
Where's it
it's-
going?
It's gonna have gutters that'll go to whatever the building department tells me I need to do. If I have to put in a dry well, I'll put a dry well in. If you want me to dig out and put gravel back here, French
I need-
drain or whatever.
I'm just trying to find out where all this runoff is going to. Is it heading towards the neighbor's yard? Where is it heading towards the road? I don't understand where all your runoff is going.
No, it's an excellent question. I just haven't gotten to that detail yet. But that's, I mean, would the building department be able to tell me what I need to do, or my architect?
Who would do it? I don't really know.
Well,
Somebody has
I
to
mean,
come up
just,
with an answer.
there is no, you weren't referred for the need for a variance for impervious surface coverage. They
Right, I'm
didn't-
at
they didn't require him-
16.5%.
He doesn't need a variance for that. I mean, if the board wants some additional documentation to satisfy yourselves that the construction of this garage will not have detrimental water impacts to neighbors, is that what your concern is?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, the board could leave the public hearing open so you can supply the board with that documentation if the board wants to do that. It's up to the board.
And I'd also like to let you know, with only 3 board members here, if we have a vote tonight, you need 3 yeses. If you get 1 no, you're gonna lose it. If you have 5 members here, you have a better shot at getting it. If you wanna put it off till next meeting, when there's 5 members,
Well, put it off, if you want to come back next meeting with an answer to the runoff. What you mean by that is you're going to have gutters there, right? And you're going to have downspouts?
Yes,
You're going
yes.
to have downspouts?
Yes.
All right, you might have, a dry well to the downspouts might clear that up. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's what I was figuring on, because, it's gonna need something like that.
Yeah, I think if you put the gutters.
yeah, but it's not in the plans.
No, it's not in the plan.
It doesn't,
It would have
doesn't
to
show
be-
me where anything's going.
It would have to be in the plan. I think if we keep the meeting open until next month, and then come up with a plan for the runoff, basically from the roof, from the building like that. So if you put gutters in, if you could put downspouts with dry wells or something like that, for me, that would satisfy me, what I'm
Okay.
trying to say. I don't know if it's going to satisfy the rest of the board, but I wouldn't have any problem with that. So that's what I would suggest you do, okay? Come up with the plan, show us on the plans how you're going to take care of that, and we'll put you on for next month, which is June 11th.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
Is there anything else you think you would require? Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so that'll be held over to next month. He comes up with the plans for that. Next one is, public hearing is Dana and Kevin Raymond, 2830 Hudson River Lane, Garrison.
Good evening.
Evening.
If you just bear with us, we're going to use
Sure,
the...
go ahead, set up.
Thanks.
Mr. Gore, let's just, I want to go over this first so we know where we're at here. You're seeking the approval for a new single-family residence and 2 garages, which require various variants of both the principal structure as well as the accessory structure. You ready?
I am.
Okay,
Thanks.
let's start over again.
Okay.
All right, you're seeking an approval for a new single-family residence, 2 garages, which require various variances for both the principal structure as well as the accessory structures, and a special permit for the enlargement of non-conforming structure. The variances sought include a variance to permit the non-conforming structures to be moved, 2 variances for the side yard setback for the principal structure, 1 variance for the side yard setback for the accessory structure, 2 front yard setbacks for the accessory structure, and a side yard setback for the deck.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, that's a lot of variances. Explain.
Good evening. Members of the board, my name is Michael Licouri. I'm an attorney at Hogan and Rossi, Brewster, New York. I have with me Chuck Lembo. Chuck is our architect for the Raymond project. So Chuck is to my right. To my left is John Kalin. John is our civil engineer and has designed the upgrade to the septic system, which is currently has a contingent approval. The contingency is the proof of the submittal of the merger to the health department. We have a letter that says your redesign is approved subject to our receipt of that document. So what I'll do is
The same would be here, too.
correct. I put 3 boards up in front of the zoning board and the public for purposes of the public hearing. The board to the right is our existing condition plan. That's an as-built survey of the property. Number 28 is this structure that is right here. And number 30 is this structure that is right here. Single-family residential, garage.
Which is accessory?
So right now, they are 2 separate parcels.
Right.
The only thing that is accessory is the garage to each house.
Okay.
Okay? And if you let me just grab my book. I'll just give you some exact calculations.
Are you going to put 2 new garages in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's the.
All right.
I'll get to the
Sure.
proposal in just a minute. Okay, so both 28 and 30 are identical in land size. 28 is 15,850 square feet. 30 is also 15,850 square feet. And as we made the board aware at the last meeting and also in our presentation documents, the bulk of these parcels are submerged in the Hudson River. So if you see the blue, this is where our property line ends, out here into the river, and then comes back. So these are fairly long parcels of land, and that's consistent with the parcels that are located in Manitou, which is the hamlet in which these properties are located.
The blue is the water.
The blue is the water.
Okay.
But our title, we have fee title all the way out to this particular point.
Correct. So a good portion of the lot is underwater.
A good portion is underwater.
Okay.
That's correct. So at 28, we have an approximately 876 square foot single-family residential structure with a 396 square foot garage. That's this garage right here. Number 30, we have a 1,497 square foot single-family residential structure, 2-story house, and a 396 square foot garage. The proposal is to, we've made application to the zoning board for a proposal to merge these 2 parcels into 1 parcel and to construct a new single-family residence within the northerly and southerly footprints of the existing, of what exists. So The proposed new structure, it's a single-family residence. It's comprised of 2 buildings. We also have 2 garages. And the proposal is to relocate. So here we are on 28. We're going to stay within the footprint of the northern property line on 28. We're going to relocate the garage, which is presently about 3 feet away from the property line, to a point that's almost 13 feet away. So that garage is going to come in. On 30, we're going to stay within the side yard of the property to the south, the Matera property. We're going to maintain a approximately 19 square foot distance, and we're going to enlarge this structure. And if you see the gray is what exists, and these lines overlay the gray to show you that enlargement. And that enlargement is what triggers the necessity for the special permit. And that enlargement also triggers the need for the quote-unquote relocation. So there was, when I first got the application, I was a little confused about that particular point. You know, what was it that triggered that? Because it didn't seem to be very obvious. It didn't jump off the page at me as to what that was. But that is precisely what triggers those 2 requirements in the request for the variances. The board has our proposed architectural plans. So what I'm just going to run through the variances, and then I'll turn it over to Chuck for a few minutes to just give you an idea of what's going to be built, and then I'll come back and really get into the test for the variances. So we are, with our proposal, seeking to construct a single-family residential structure. That structure is going to be connected by a deck in between the 2 properties. That deck is designed so as to not qualify as impervious surface. We were advised by the town's engineer and the building department, if we maintained a particular distance between the boards, then we wouldn't trigger impervious coverage. So we sought to do that because it seemed to be a very obvious benefit as far as dealing with impervious surfaces and being so close to the river.
Is that a deck or is that a walkway between the 2 structures?
It's a deck.
How far is it above the ground?
It's above the ground.
Okay, deck above the ground, but it
It
connects both.
Yes, it connects the 2 structures.
Right.
And Chuck will get into the architecture. This house is designed. It's designed to, in such a way with the windows, it operates together. Whereas you can see into each structure from the interior, its complete design is for a singular purpose.
Have you put the walkway in the square footage?
As far as requiring,
The total square footage? If it's enclosed, you enclose the walkway?
no, we're not going to enclose the walkway. No. If we were to enclose the walkway, we would certainly have to include it in the square footage. But because we are not enclosing it, and because we are going to maintain a particular separation distance between the floorboards, we don't trigger the requirement for additional impervious surface.
How long is the walkway? Just, do you know?
Chuck, if you can, I'll
of
just
it?
have you jump in for a minute.
All right, just one question. The length of it.
You're talking about
The walkway between the 2 houses.
the deck.
Yeah, the deck.
Now I'm talking about what connects the 2 houses.
Yes, I understand.
Well, it's a walkway deck.
It's a deck. It's not a walkway. It's
Are you going to walk on it to get from one
yes.
house to the other?
It's
Okay.
the distance between
I'm
the 2
just-
structures is 22 feet. So
so-
this dimension is 22 feet.
So the walkway or deck, whatever you want to say, is 22 feet?
Yes, and it's
Okay.
the depth of. It's about 31 foot 6 feet from where it starts, and it ends at the back of this annex structure here.
Okay, my quick question, and we're getting too involved. If you made that deck or walkway or whatever you want to call it shorter, would you need all the variances?
If we made it shorter.
Yeah.
No. So let me just jump in
Just
as to
say-
where the variances are triggered. No, the deck is not part of the app. The deck is not relevant for
The deck
purposes
is
of the.
relevant. What I'm trying to say is you're talking about one house,
That's right.
2 structures.
Yes,
Okay, you need variances.
that's right.
If you put them closer together, would you
Understood.
need less variance?
Understood. Yes, if the house was, if the 2 structures were brought together,
Correct.
we would require less of a variance on both the north and south side.
That was my question. Go ahead. You answered it.
Gotcha. Okay. So, the particular design and the variances that are needed, I'll take it from 28, the north parcel first. We have a 20-foot side yard setback on this particular piece of property. It's non-conforming, and according to the regulations, that non-conformity in this particular area would trigger a 20-foot side yard. So for the north property, we have an existing 5'9" setback to the north, and we are proposing to maintain that exact 5'9" setback. We're not encroaching any further into the setback than what already exists. For the garage, the existing garage is about 3.5 feet. Like I said earlier, when I first started talking, that existing garage is going to be moved out of the not out of the setback, but it'll be moved and be 12 foot 9 inches away from the northern property line. So the nonconformity is being decreased from 3 feet to 12 feet. So we have an additional area that we are providing for that. The next variance for that garage is to, bear with me here. Okay, so the face of those garages, which are in this area here, those require a variance. There's a 60-foot requirement from the east property line, which would be the front property line, and those structures are proposed at 27 feet. That 27 feet represents on number 30 almost exactly where the existing garage is. So we're able to almost identically maintain that. On the 28, we come out a little bit further into that setback, but both are at the 27-foot mark. So we come out a little further than what exists, but maintain uniformity along the front line. We felt that would be aesthetically important to have that uniform location. On 30, we have an existing, again, we need a 20-foot setback. We have approximately 19.5 feet, so we need half a foot of a variance for 30 Hudson River Lane. And then as far as the garage goes, we don't need a variance for the garage for the side yard. It's just that front yard that triggers the variance requirement. The last variance that's required relates to the proposed deck to be constructed in the northwest corner of the property. There's an exemption for a structure that's, I believe, up to 150 square feet. This covers 350, and it requires a permit and a variance in order for us to construct that. If it was at 150 square feet, we'd be able to build it without triggering any variances. So
That deck is gonna be right up to the property line?
which deck? So in the middle?
No, the one on the river.
The one you just spoke about.
Oh, yes. That is proposed to be located about 6 inches away from the property line to the north. And again, that's subject to a 20-foot variance. So we're right on the property line.
Okay.
So this would be, just so I'm clear, a deck to the rear of the property identified as 28 Hudson River?
That's correct.
And that's a rear deck?
That's a rear deck. Or it's an independent deck. It's not, obviously, not connected to anything. It's a
Standalone
standalone
deck.
wooden deck on the ground.
Okay, and that would need a side yard variance?
Yeah, from our reading of the code, because of the size, it appeared to trigger the need for a variance.
So 20 feet is required, and the side yard setback you're proposing for the standalone deck on 28 would be
6 inches
6 inches from the,
from the north
North,
property
okay.
line. Right, and if
How far is that deck from the house?
that deck is, let me just take a look at the scale. So we have 1 inch equals, is that the?
That's 60, it's
Okay.
about 90 feet.
About 90 feet.
Okay, so you want to put a standalone deck, and you're looking for a 19.5-foot variance.
That's correct.
Out of 20.
Okay, go ahead.
So those are the variances that are required. I'm going to turn it over to Chuck as far as what the architectural is proposed to look like, and then we'll come back and I'll address the criteria for the board.
Oh, we're gonna,
Thanks. Good evening.
hi.
Hi. Okay, so the way this has been designed is that the structure on the 30 property is the main living area of the house. This would house living room, kitchen, and bedroom, bathroom. The building up here, the annex, the annex building is what we've been calling it. This is a library, a art studio. There's a bathroom, and then a spiral stair that runs up to a. We're calling it a view perch. It's more like an observation deck with a roof, like a roof patio.
Is there a kitchen in there?
No, there is not, and there's not proposed one either.
How many square feet is that observation deck?
I believe it's. Hold on a second. I think it's 133. Hold on. It's actually enclosed. It's the second story of that house. It's 133 square feet.
And it's enclosed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The house lies in an AE7 flood zone, so the finished floor is set at 10 feet. So you have 2 foot of freeboard up to 9 feet, and then the actual structure of the building, anything above freeboard, anything below freeboard has to be flood-resistant material. So we're pushing it up another feet so we can have another foot so we can have a wood frame floor and still be within the requirements of the state flood code. So that's why these are set at 10 feet, which is roughly 5 feet above grade. The grade is not meant to be regraded. It's just that the house will have a higher first floor than it currently has. And then the maximum, I believe we have 12-foot ceilings. The main structure and most of the annex are 1 story with a 12-foot ceiling, and then another 3 feet of roof structure and a parapet on top. So the overall height, 22 feet from grade. And then there'll be this deck at the same level, 10 feet above, 10-foot elevation, 5 feet above grade, that connects both buildings. So the main entrance would be to come, you'd park over here. You'd walk between the 2 garage structures, go up the steps, and then you would enter the house or the annex from this deck.
Let me ask you a question. Look at that, at your proposed photo there. The second building, what is that, the accessory building, or what are we calling that? The one with the observation?
This is the main house here, and this, let me put this up. So. This is the main living structure here. This is the connecting, and this is that annex building that houses the library, the art studio, and the bathroom. And this small piece that pokes up above is the view, the observation room.
deck.
Yeah.
What's the height for the observation deck to the ground? Or vice versa?
That would be the top of the roof is elevation 34, so it's 29 feet above grade. Overall here, this dimension is 29.
From the top of that to the...
To grade.
To grade is gonna be 29 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Now that deck that runs between the 2 structures, I guess, is there pilings on that deck? Is that, how, I'm trying to look at it now. How are you?
No, this is basically just it's just a screened fence, like a decorative screening
Okay.
from the street with a gate. So
What's the height of that deck from the grade level?
5 feet. The deck level is even with the finished floor levels of both structures, so they're all at 5 feet.
Okay, we said that the length of that deck again was, I forgot,
Say again. I'm
the
sorry.
length of that deck, or the length of that walkway is,
Hold on. The width between the structures it's 22 feet.
okay.
22 feet between.
So it's 22 feet long.
Yes.
Okay. That was my question about if it would made shorter, would you be
I
less?
understand
need
now.
Less
Right.
variances. Okay. And the garages, do you show the garages in your proposed?
The garages that ghosted in, honestly, they haven't really been designed yet. I mean, they're basically just, they would, emulate the same shape of the building, similar materials, but they're just strictly used as a garage and for storage. We haven't really delved into any type of design, development yet. They're just schematic boxes at this point.
Well, we'd have to have that before we made any decision.
All right.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions?
Yeah, the numbers here are confusing to me. You have a proposed living space, 2312.76.
$23.12, that's correct.
Okay, and the existing you say is what, 3165?
I made a mistake. I miscalculated the existing in the chart.
No wonder why my numbers don't add
Can't
up.
make any mistakes here. Numbers, we check your numbers.
Well, then the application's wrong, if he doesn't have the right numbers in it.
Well, he could correct that.
Not wrong. All the variances requested are correct.
Right.
I don't see the numbers adding up, I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me just ask you one question. Is this a all-in thing? What I mean by that is, let's say the board felt that deck in the back, so standalone deck, that was too much of a variance. Does that kill your project?
I'd have to talk to the client. I'd ask them,
What
certainly.
I'm trying to say is, I'm asking
Yeah,
because,
no, we appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
If it comes to where, let's just say that at one point, the deck is in, the board turns it down, you understand, for the one piece. That's what I'm trying to say.
I completely understand.
Okay, well, you ask you, at the next meeting, you can get back to me.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So you guys have any more questions for Chuck?
No, I think you got any more questions on the design?
Well, the numbers, you have here, there's gonna be 2180 gross square feet of living space,
2312.
2312.
2312, and how much for the storage, building storage, a garage, anything?
Yeah, the garages total,
391.
that's correct. They total,
Go ahead, give me the total.
okay, the total of the two is 792.
So that's over 3,100 square feet then, almost, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see how it's just, you have here, it's gonna decrease the square footage by 852 feet?
I made a mistake in the existing column of the chart.
Okay.
In the text, if you flip to the prior page, I lay out what the existing conditions are.
All right, well, could you give us another copy with the correct figures?
Yeah, certainly.
Sure, okay, no problem.
That's why my numbers didn't add up, okay.
And my apologies, I think what I did was I had messed up the difference between the square footage of area versus surfaces,
Okay.
living area versus surfaces in that particular, in that chart.
Okay.
So you see where I'm coming from, the numbers just didn't add up at all.
Completely understand.
Right,
I-
and like you're talking about garages, if you're looking for variance for garage, correct?
We need a variance to
Okay.
to
And we
have
to
garages.
We have to know what it looks like. Okay, so there's no way, there's no way in hell I'm gonna say to you, okay, fine, I'll give you a variance for garage, I have no idea what it even looks like.
Understood.
Okay? Fine. So, there's a lot of things missing here in this puzzle, okay? I know I see you got 6 letters for, in favor,
That's right.
I think, right?
Yes.
Right, and it's a tie, and you got 6 against, okay? There's a letter in here from, a 7-page
We-
letter from 6 neighbors who have a lot of concerns.
Right, we have a copy of that letter,
Right.
which we'd like to go through. Obviously, if you'd open the public hearing, certainly you'd.
I don't know if we have to go through it tonight, because I'll tell you, there's a lot here missing. First of all, I wouldn't even want to look at this without an approval from the Wetlands Board, Conservation Board.
Could we talk about that for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. I wanted to touch on that in particular because it's very important for us to tackle the zoning board at the outset. And the rationale is, particularly from an environmental perspective, is that there's still a lot left to do municipally as far as approvals go after the zoning board. Let's say hypothetically, variances were granted for the project. Next stop would be the Conservation Commission. We'd also deal with the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers. It's not zoning board, then building permit. So respectfully, we also don't believe that the claim of the neighbors that we're going to have a significant, environmental impact by our project There's no basis set forth, in their letter with any, professional support. If you take a step back and say, hey, what's going on here? We have a new house that's going to get built on Hudson River Lane. There have been a number of reconstructions that have gone on Hudson River Lane, including by all of the people that have complained in that particular letter. There's either been renovation or construction of some sort. So just taking a step back and saying, hey, what's really going on here? We have a construction of a single-family residence on a piece of property that's next to the Hudson River. In our opinion, that's not particularly unique to any of the properties that exist on the river. But more importantly is that the Conservation Commission will dive into the environmental aspect of the construction, make sure that we have an erosion and sedimentation control plan, take a look at where the well is, examine what we have been able to get conditionally approved by the health department. So what we'd like to do, and the reason why we tackled the zoning board first, is you drive our design. We don't know what our zoning is, what our setbacks are, until we finish with the Zoning Board of Appeals. And it's a heavy lift. It's an expensive project. And the risk is we spend a lot of money on design, right? We satisfy the Conservation Commission hypothetically, and then we get here and we don't have success here at the Zoning Board. So the thought was, and the rationale is, let's tackle the Zoning Board. We can make the Zoning Board aware. I think you guys are fully aware of that if the next stop was the Conservation Commission, you guys don't lock in anybody. All you do is set our parameters for zoning purposes. If we don't satisfy the Conservation Commission, it's end of story. We don't go anywhere. We basically go back to the drawing board and say, is there another way to tackle this thing that doesn't require variances? Or frankly, is there another way to tackle this thing that would satisfy the Conservation Commission? So for us, it's getting that locked down is critical. And for you guys, I think you can feel comfortable knowing that the Conservation Commission is going to do the deep dive on the environmental review that's required. And it's not to say you guys would put off any environmental review. Frankly, the appropriate thing to do is to take a look at this thing, look at the area variances, see if the area variances do create some environmental impact. That's clearly part of the test. But the construction is really what, in our opinion, it's the construction and the impact of the construction that we believe the Conservation Commission is going to be looking at in depth in order to determine whether or not there's going to be an environmental impact. So we think you guys should feel comfortable knowing that they would come next, that we're not getting around anything. It's where we would end up immediately after here, and them simultaneously with DEC and Army Corps. So with that ahead of us, I don't think we need to hang back with the zoning board until they're all done. Because to spend all that money, have all those drawings designed, have John do all of our civil engineering, create all those plans, and then get here and not have success would be a really inefficient use of resources. That's why we chose to come here first.
Were you here last month's meeting?
I was.
Okay. And did you hear the gentleman that had a pool, want to put a pool in down in Hudson River Lane?
I did, and I know he
Okay.
went to the Conservation
He went to
Commission. He
Conservation
did.
Board first.
That's
You're
correct.
going to do the same thing here. We're not going to look at this until it goes before the Conservation Board. Okay? You explained this, you got to look, there's a lot of things missing, okay? We want to see the garages. I know it's an expense, and I understand it. And I can understand not wanting to do it, I understand. But we can't just do that. I mean, if I'm going to send a pool to the Conservation Board before we vote on it, I'm certainly going to send a house to the Conservation Board before we vote on it. Two houses, well.
It's one house.
One house, it's one house with a bridge. But, so that's, would be my opinion. My opinion that we're going to keep the meeting open until such a time. And I'll tell you, the other thing that makes me uncomfortable is the property's not joined together. I understand what you're saying, that they want us,
Can you
don't
get
spend the
advice from
money
your
and do
attorney on
this
that?
and don't do
Because
that.
you're uncomfortable, but there isn't a basis for the uncomfortability. You have
Well,
your...
yeah, I'll tell you what, there is a basis, because I've got two separate lots. So I guess we'll have to write the whole thing over, and you want variances on two separate lots. You're asking me to give variances as one piece, is that correct?
Chairman,
I answer my question, please. I asked you, are you asking me to give variances as one piece?
No, because
You're
the
not?
variances don't take effect until the lots get merged. They legally do not take effect.
Okay.
Look,
Well,
the
we're gonna keep
zoning,
this open, we're gonna keep this open, okay, until such a time that you come back here with a approval from the Conservation Board.
okay, are you gonna open the public hearing, or are we not gonna open the public hearing?
At this point in time, no, I'm not gonna open a
Okay.
public hearing. Well, no, I have to open a public hearing because, and I'd have to keep it open, I would have to open a public hearing, yes. I can't, right?
Just to
Tenant?
clarify, this was noticed for today.
Right.
For the commencement of a public hearing.
Correct.
So we started the public hearing, we received testimony. The chairman, as I understand it, would like to get input from the Conservation Board on the proposal, similar to the last application that was made on Hudson River Lane where they needed Conservation Board approval. So the public hearing would be kept open.
Well, it hasn't been opened. There hasn't been a resolution to open the public hearing. I mean, if the board voted to open the public hearing, unless you say it's customary for the board to just come in and it's
Customary
open.
for here, with application. we
My
say
experience has been the
public
board makes a motion to open the public hearing.
Maybe I am misunderstanding, but at the last meeting, it was a review for completeness.
Correct.
And I believe the board determined that the application at that point was complete.
Right.
It was then noticed, and I see it on the agenda, unless there's a misprint, that this is a public hearing for 28 and 30 Hudson River.
I get, my question is it customary for the board to take a vote to open the public hearing, or is it just, it is what it is? It is the public hearing, the board doesn't have to.
Yeah, I guess to answer your question, it is what it is. We voted that it
Okay,
was
great.
complete at the last meeting.
That-
It
that's-
was noticed for today, so
Right.
the public hearing commenced.
Mm-hmm.
You gave testimony as part of the public hearing.
Okay,
And I believe that the board wants to get input from the Conservation Board as to those issues. So we're gonna, I would suggest that obviously you keep the public hearing open. This public hearing.
that's fine. I just wasn't sure if it was
yeah.
officially opened or before you opened it before you turned it over to the public. That's all. And the reason why it was relevant is that if it hadn't officially been opened and we had to go to Conservation Commission before coming back, you might have required a renoticing depending on time. I was really just drilling down on
Okay.
what would technically be required.
No, it's
So,
open.
okay.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to speak on?
I guess the question is if you want me to address any of the criteria, or if you want to just wait until we.
I think you've covered mostly everything. You could say, the reason the Conservation Board has to look at this before we look at it, because a big part of it is underwater. I mean, it is a flood area.
Yeah, that we understand. I mean,
Right, it's a flood
there's
area, right.
there's no construction proposed
Right.
in the underwater
Right.
part.
So, like I say, if I had sent a pool, a fellow put a pool down to Conservation Board, I'm gonna send a house, that's for sure, okay, to look at it. And you're gonna have to go back with the garages, plans for the garages, because we certainly can't give a variance on something we don't know what it's gonna look like. Okay? All right. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this here tonight? No? Okay. All right, we're gonna keep the public hearing open. Any questions from the board? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This time, make a motion to,
Second?
we close, second, aye, all in favor? Aye, okay.